Hey, what's going on, sports fans? Thanks for tuning in. Happy New Year. This is the first episode I'm doing, I guess, after the New Year. I did a live stream over the weekend, which was on New Year's Day, but this is the first episode I'm recording, so Happy New Year. Appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully, your New Year is going well. We're 3 days in, and hopefully, it's another 362 days or so of good vibes and just positivity. Now, before I get into today's episode, I don't know if you can see it up there in the corner, but I changed the logo. I'll pull myself away here for the logo. So, at the end of this episode, of course, let me know what you think about it, and I greatly appreciate it. So, with that, what are we going to talk about in this episode? I'm going to talk about the Bills Bengals because for those of you who did watch the game, you know what happened. And those of you who probably didn't even tune into the game, you've probably seen what's happened since then because it's become a national story. So we'll talk about that. And I guess I'll lay out, I guess, the different avenues that I guess the NFL could go in post Bills Bengals postponing and all that. So with that, let's go ahead. Let's jump into this episode and let's have some fun. And of course, you know, let me know what you think down in the comment section based off of what the NFL should do. You can put down there as well, prayers up for Damar Hamlin. And yeah, let's go ahead. So I'm gonna bring up on the screen, like I said, gotta do the side by side. That's what we do over here. But this is a statement from the NFL. So letting us know that Monday's game between the Bills and the Bengals is not gonna be resumed this week. There were some people who were wondering if, by postponing it last night, would they try to play today, maybe Wednesday? I didn't really see that as a possibility because how are you going to have them play middle of the week and then this weekend play another game? So I feel like the NFL here saying not will not be resumed this week was a good decision. And so the emergency or the scary part of the game was Damar Hamlin, like I mentioned. And we now learned he suffered a cardiac arrest. And if you watch the play, it's probably a tackle he's made a million times in his life. But it was just that last night, the hit was in the wrong spot, wrong time. Because he made the tackle, he got up, stumbled for like half a second, and then he fell on his back, passed out, collapsed, whatever you want to say. And, shout out to the players who noticed it right away, waved on the medical staff. Medical staff ran onto the field, did what they had to do. The ambulance was there. They performed CPR on the field, which I know was scary for a lot of people to see. And when I saw it, it made me remember the Christian Eriksen. It was I think it was Euro Nations Cup. I believe it's been about a year and a half or so by now. It was a simple throw in. Erickson was standing there. He collapsed on the field. Medical personnel ran out there, players waving him on, then players standing around him. So, fans and stuff couldn't necessarily see what was going on. But we later learned that Erickson, basically died on the field, was revived. So seeing Hamlin on the field, medical personnel, then learning that they were performing CPR on him for almost 10 minutes, made me think about the Christian Eriksen stuff. Christian Eriksen has come back from that. He's, uh, was he playing in Manchester United now? So he's resumed his playing career. In terms of Hamlin, we're still waiting for updates and all that. I know his family's there, so you know that's the important people who need to know about Hamlin right now. We learned about Stefon Diggs trying to go into his room, speak to him, or see how he was doing, which I think was really cool. But that I was already a big fan of Stefon Diggs, you know, and that shows the kind of teammate he is. I'm sure there's other teammates trying to go see him. Um, the scene outside the hospital as well. Bills fans, Bengals fans, out there showing their support for him. I thought that was a great scene and really shows that, yes, we're dealing with players here. And, as a fan, you want to see your team do well and all that. But at the end of the day, it's just we're all human beings. So, you have to, I mean, your heart had to be hurting for Damar Hamlin through all of this. So, they said that there's no changes to week 18, which we'll look at the schedule here in a second. But so the NFL Players Association, they're basically letting us know that they're going to monitor the situation and then make a decision, I guess, all based off the game, based off of what happens with him. So that got me thinking, like, what could the league necessarily do at this point? So to me, there's probably three or four possible options here. So one, you play week 18 out, the Bills play the Patriots, Bengals play the Ravens. Based off of those outcomes, this game doesn't matter in terms of whether they finish second or third in the AFC. If that's the case, really no reason to play the game, so you don't play it. Everybody will just have 17 games. Bills, Bengals will just have 16. I would say that's probably the easiest way to go about it. That may be the way that the NFL might be playing this out, which is why there was no rush to resume the game this week. So if that doesn't happen, let's just say they play their games this weekend, come to find out the Bills and the Bengals are maybe tied with the Chiefs. And if you play the game, either the Bills or the Bengals will end up as the number one seed. What do you do then? I feel like in that case, would the NFL make a week 19, play that game, then see how the seedings play out after that, and then from there start the playoffs the following week? Only thing with that would be, would that affect the day of the Super Bowl? If it does, how much hoops will they have to jump through, I guess, to fix that situation and all that. Maybe that's too many moving parts, so that wouldn't be the way they would go. Next one, playoff week 18. The Bills and the Bengals end up tied for second in the AFC. What do you do? Do you play the game just to break the tie? So one of them the second seed, one of the third seed. That might be a situation where you go back to Zach Taylor and Sean McDermott, have them talk to their teams, come to a resolution. Let's say the players don't want to play the game. They just want to leave it as is. I guess at that point, the league could just do the coin flip as a tiebreaker, maybe, and slot them, or just use the tiebreaking procedures and take out the number one tiebreaker of being head to head, since they didn't play head to head as the game wasn't resumed. And maybe that's the easiest way to go about it. Play week 18 wherever they slot themselves based off tiebreaking procedures. If they are tied, fine. Then I guess the last one would be, I guess it's kind of like the first one, where they play one of them ends up as the second seed, one of them ends up as the third seed. But then necessarily, if they played the game, if the team was the third seed, if they win it, would then jump to the second seed. Do you resume the game, like I said, in week 19? I don't know, but I do feel like the NFL stance, at least from the statement, that they're going to wait to see Hamlin's condition before figuring all that, is the right way to go about it. Now, a lot of people have been talking about the coverage last night, where they kept kind of kicking the action to Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, and they were kind of winging it for seemed like 15-20 minutes while going commercials and coming back, because they weren't hearing anything either. Then they started kicking into the studio. Susie Colbert, Adam Schefter, and Booger McFarland. I mean, I guess they did the best that they could. They were kind of updating people as they were getting updates. They were kind of just giving their feelings about everything. So, yes, I know some people weren't necessarily happy with how ESPN covered it, but situation like that happens spur of the moment, well, I don't know what else they would have done because they wouldn't have, I guess, alternate um, programming readily available. And in a situation like that, I don't even know if that would play well because people watching at home were hoping for updates and all that to make sure Hamlin was fine or his family was with him or whatever. So I think ESPN made the best of a terrible situation because, like I said, nobody wants to watch a game and see something like this happen to a player. Like I said before, Christian Eriksen. I was watching that game when he passed out. He collapsed. I mean, I watched the Kevin Ware NCAA tournament game where he did a simple contesting of a jump shot, landed funny, snapped his leg on national TV. It's, if you think about it, I was thinking about this yesterday. With as violent as some sports can be, the fact that we haven't seen more incidents like what happened to Hamlin, we're definitely lucky with that. And hopefully, this Hamlin thing, maybe it's a wake up call to some facilities who may not necessarily have, medical staff and all the equipment that NFL sidelines may have for situations like this. That maybe they think about maybe preparing themselves a little bit better. Now, we later learned the condition. I think it's called commodio. I can't remember it, but it was basically a situation where, like Hamlin's heart, when you're breathing and all that, your heart expands, contracts, expands, contracts. So I believe what I heard from some cardiologist who was on some network was that basically as his heart was expanding, that's when the T. Higgins hit him in the chest, and it threw off the rhythm of the heart. But to be honest with you, I didn't know they had a term for that because I had never heard something like that happen. That's just like the wrong place, wrong time, all converging into one, and you got what happened to Hamlin. But then a side note, the fans or whatever who were going after T. Higgins, because that's who Hamlin was making the tackle on before, he collapsed, and really trying to put blame on T. Higgins for any of this. You sound foolish, and you probably should stay off social media. Just don't watch sports anymore. And that goes for Bart Scott, because I heard Bart Scott supposedly made some inference that T. Higgins was at fault for this. And I've never been a fan of Bart Scott, especially on TV, but now I'm really glad I don't really listen to him if that's the angle he's really trying to take in all of this. But then again, we know some of these TV people just want to create attention, so maybe he just wanted to be the shock guy and whatever. But like I said, don't listen to Bart Scott. Definitely not going to start listening to him now. But yeah, it was just a tough situation. Still is a tough situation as it's ongoing. I know a lot of people have been going at Skip Bayless as well. I will say, I believe a lot of that is just overreaction to a single tweet instead of reading the whole tweet thread, because I saw that last tweet and was like, what? And decided to take the extra 5 seconds to go look at his page to see the tweets that came before it, and then realize, oh, that's what he was trying to say. Skip Bayless is basically saying that the game's outcome being irrelevant because of the Hamlin situation, which Skip Bayless said he's never seen anything like it before, which is why I think it's his first tweet, he put different in all caps. He said, this situation is different. Normally you see injuries on the NFL field, it's just like, oh, that's the NFL, and they keep going. He said, this was different. Why some people couldn't figure that out and take the extra time, we could probably guess why. It's 2023. Everybody wants to react to the first thing they see, be the first to react to it, and then it causes a little snowball. Because once again, looking at the 3 tweets, I think at the time that I looked at it, the first tweet had probably about 2 million views. The second tweet was 4 million. Then the third tweet, which everyone flipped out at, had like 20 million views. So I understood what was going on. Everybody saw the third tweet, assumed, because a lot of people are Skip haters and, seeing Skip say some outlandish things on TV, ran with it. And the same way where I guess Skip saw the backlash from the third tweet, put out another tweet a little bit later. People said that tweet was phony, it was fake, remorse, and all this kind of stuff. Once again, read the first three tweets, you'd get it. Then I'm seeing people talking about Skip this morning because Shannon Sharp wasn't there, and now it's all about whatever. So I feel like people are focused on the wrong stuff here. Skip said what he said. I understood what he was saying. Had no problem with what he said, but I get it. Some people didn't read everything. Through all of this, it's all about Damar Hamlin right now. That's it. That's where all the focus should be. Wait for that moment where, we get an update and it's like really good news, and you could be like, okay, good. Because that's what we all need right now in this situation. But yeah, that's kind of what I just wanted to talk about on here was just the Hamlin thing. I was going to look at the schedule. I mean, right now they've kind of slotted everything. I guess we'll look at that real quick for the last bit of the episode here. So the one thing that hasn't changed because of all this is the Bengals-Ravens game, because that one was going into last night scheduled for 1 o'clock or 4:25 or whatever. If that's a little, but I believe it's currently still TBD because I guess last night's game outcome was going to determine when that game was going to be played. So without that, it's still to be determined. And let's see if it came up. Yes. All right. So looking at this, like I said, still TBD. I think somebody said it might be an update Wednesday as to when this game will play. But look at the rest of it. They picked Packers, Lions, Sunday night. Okay. And Bills, Patriots, 1 o'clock, which it was before that. And then Saturday games, they chose Chiefs, Raiders, Titans, Jaguars. So the AFC South deciding game there. And I guess for this, if the Chiefs win, lock up the 1 seed, which means this game means a little bit less for the Bills. So, yeah. Like I said, that's not the real focus of this episode, so I'm not going to really deep dive too much into all of that. But, yeah, so let me know what you think. What should the NFL do with the Damar Hamlin thing? And as I said before, put down prayers up for Damar Hamlin in the comment section. Hit the subscribe button. Really appreciate that. Hit the like button or dislike and let me know what you'd like to change about the stream. And as I said before as well, on the ticker on the bottom here, you see all my socials, so make sure you follow me there as well. So make sure that you do subscribe to the YouTube channel or the Twitch page, or Twitch channel, Actually subscribe to both, it'd really help. But that's why when I do live streams again, you'll be first to know. And where else? TikTok, of course. But before I get it here, one last thing. We'll talk more about the Damar Hamlin and the NFL tonight on the Big Three podcast over on Sports Empire Network, where you can catch me Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursday nights. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, tikilive.com. So each night, 7 p.m., Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. That's when I'm on. Really appreciate you guys, stop over there, show some support. Really great shows that I'm on. Cheap Seats Podcast, Monday, Big Three Tuesday, Pre-Gaming Pigskin Thursday nights. Then JJL Sports Talk Show on their Fridays. Talked about adding a second show, maybe like Mondays. Don't know yet, but you can find that at YouTube and Facebook live around 8, unless we choose another time, but normally around 8 on Fridays. So, yeah, with that, as I always say, be safe out there. God bless. I'll catch you next episode. Then, yes, prayers up for Damar Hamlin. Get better, man. But yeah, I'll see you guys next episode. Have a good day.